That's not the case. There's a lot of stuff here that isn't, you know, something that I would class as horror. And, you know, this is far from it. This is more of a tragic love story than anything else. Hey guys, welcome along to Here's Rodder's Reviews, the show that loves all things entertainment and shares that love with you. I am your host, Rodney Stewart. Now we're getting back into the Hammer collection for this episode. And, you know, when I bought the Hammer collection box set, I was expecting it all to be Hammer horror movies. That's not the case. There's a lot of stuff here that isn't, you know, something that I would class as horror. And, you know, this is far from it. This is more of a tragic love story than anything else. And it stars Dawn Murray as Justinian, Carita as Salina. Carita she was a model, and she kind of like, you know, she acted on and off underneath just that name, Carita. A bit like Cher, is only known as Cher. Donald Houston is in this as well, along with Andrew Keir. Who else is there? There's a few people on here that are. Patrick Troughton is in this movie as well. The second Doctor. Was he the second Doctor? Yes, I do believe he was the second Doctor in Doctor Who. Yes, this is pretty much. And I'm looking it up again on IMDb just because it has been so long since I watched this movie. I should have had this review up a long time ago. To honour her father's dying wish, Queen Salina shares the role of Icena with Justinian, a fair and just Roman. This displeases the bloodthirsty Druids on one side and the more hardline Romans on the other. As Salina and Justinian fall in love, their enemies start to plot, and blood soon stains the green hills of Britain. I honestly didn't think that I would enjoy this movie. At the beginning, I found it hard work to get into it, and you know, if you go back and watch some of my other reviews on the channel for the Hammer movies, there's a lot of stuff there. It started out as hard work, but turned out to be really, really great movies. Now this here is definitely one of them. Like, I could have jumped out of this at any point in the first 40 to 45 minutes, but I'm glad I stuck with it towards the end of the movie because, you know, as the Romans and the Druids start plotting behind the scenes, seeing that their leaders are starting to fall in love, there's, you know, the idea is that, you know, if they marry and, you know, Roman blood and Druid blood become mixed, will become one people. And you know, there's a lot of people on either side that don't want to see this happening, so there's a lot of backbiting, backstabbing before the end of this movie. And by the end of it, Queen Salina and Justinian are forced to lead their armies against each other in a final battle. And it's, you know, what really does in the last 20 to 25 minutes of this film, where you see the two of these people that are madly in love with each other having to actually go toe to toe with each other on the battlefield, is very, very heartbreaking. And they manage to try and pull as many heartstrings as they can with the viewer. And by the end of this movie, it's just, you know, the final moment in particular is incredibly heartbreaking if you're sensitive to movies like myself. I'm the sort of person that, I don't know if you guys remember this advertisement, used to be on television, but I think it was gosh, which company was it? Probably only aired in the United Kingdom. It was a phone company, and they had this animated little Nokia, like 3210, you know, the really old phones, and it was kind of out in the rain, walking the streets. It was just the phone had two arms on it, two legs, this little small thing, and it, you know, came up to the window of like a coffee shop, and there was, it looked through the window, and it was like its owner had a smartphone. It was all the new thing. Had this guy had like an iPhone in his hand, and he's like showing it off to his friends and whatnot. This little thing was out in the streets all heartbroken and whatnot. Like, that's the sort of thing that flipping tears me up. You know, so, you know, so you can imagine what way an emotional storyline would get me. Toy Story 3 as another example. Like, I was in bits watching that movie. Gosh, you wouldn't think I'm turning 40 shortly. So, yes, by the end of this film, they've got you by the emotional heartstrings, and it's definitely, give it that first half hour. It's hard work. I have said it earlier in this review. It's a common thing, probably because just these movies are that old, and we're so used to like a quicker pace in films and television these days that, you know, these do have a slow start up, but you know, a lot of the classics do, and it's definitely, this is not going to be a waste of your time checking out this movie.